The morning sun stretched its long shadows over the golden savanna. Daniel Matthews, a wildlife ranger for 16 years in Kenya's Mara North Conservancy, checked his watch. 5:47 a.m. These dawn patrols, he knew, were the best time to see predators returning from their night hunts. A night chill still lingered in the air as he guided his weathered Land Rover along the rutted track, keeping a respectful distance from the pride he'd been monitoring for 3 weeks. He cut the engine and lifted his binoculars. Through the swaying grass, he counted the familiar faces, the scar-muzzled dominant male, 3 lionesses, and 2 nearly grown cubs. But one was absent, Nala, the pregnant female with unusual amber eyes. A flicker of concern sparked as he scanned the area and found no sign of her. "Something's off today," he murmured, reaching for his radio. Before he could call, a strained, low growl carried across the plains. It was a sound of distress, not aggression, a distinction Daniel's years in the field allowed him to recognize instantly. The male lion's ears swiveled toward the noise. As one, the pride stood and began moving with purpose toward a cluster of acacia trees about 200 yards east. Daniel hesitated. Protocol forbade following a pride on foot, yet his instincts screamed that something significant was unfolding. In a split-second decision, he grabbed his camera, radio, and emergency kit. Quietly, he slipped from the vehicle, using it as a shield as he documented their strange behavior. With singular focus, the pride moved ahead, glancing back occasionally as if to check on him. They vanished into the tall grass, leaving Daniel to track them by fleeting glimpses of tawny fur. Using his knowledge of the terrain, he maintained a cautious distance. 15 minutes later, cresting a small rise, he immediately dropped into a crouch. There, in a clearing under an acacia's sprawling branches, lay the missing lioness. Daniel's breath caught. She was clearly in labor, her sides heaving with contractions. A translucent amniotic sac was visible, a cub moments from being born. The rest of the pride had formed a protective semicircle around her, with the male positioned directly facing Daniel's location. "Incredible," Daniel whispered, raising his camera with unsteady hands. In all his 16 years, he had never witnessed a wild lion give birth. Such events happened in hidden, secluded places. He knew he was seeing something few ever would, a moment of raw, primal nature. Another contraction gripped the lioness, a deep growl rumbling from her as the glistening sac bulged further. Daniel stayed frozen, barely breathing as he documented each second. The other lioness moved closer, as if to offer support. Then, the next event defied everything Daniel knew. The massive male turned his head and stared directly at him. Daniel's heart hammered against his ribs. Being discovered by a protective male could be fatal. Slowly, he reached for his deterrent spray, never breaking eye contact. But the lion made no aggressive move. He simply held his position, gaze locked with Daniel's, as if acknowledging his presence while drawing a line. The message was clear: you may watch, but come no closer. For 30 breathtaking minutes, Daniel stayed motionless. Finally, the cub emerged fully. The mother swiftly removed the sack and began cleaning her newborn with rough, tender licks. The tiny cub, wet and no larger than a house cat, squirmed and mewed weakly. Daniel captured it all, tears pricking his eyes at the profound privilege. What truly astonished him, however, was the pride's reaction. Instead of hiding the vulnerable newborn or turning aggressive, they maintained their formation while allowing Daniel to document the miracle from his distance. It was as if they had accepted his presence as non-threatening, a situation virtually unheard of during such a vulnerable time. As the mother continued cleaning her first cub, a second amniotic sac appeared. Twins. This occurred in only about 1 in 10 lion births. The second delivery was quicker, the experienced mother efficiently freeing her cub within minutes. Daniel's radio crackled to life, making him flinch. His supervisor, McKenna's voice came through. "Base to Matthews. Check-in overdue. Status report, over." Moving with deliberate slowness, Daniel reached for the device. The male's eyes tracked the movement, but he remained calm. "Matthews to base. Observing a lion birth approximately 2 clicks east of marker 7. Female with amber eyes is delivering twins. Entire pride is present. He paused, still processing. And, they are tolerating my presence. Requesting permission to continue observation. Over. A moment of static silence. Then McKenna's incredulous reply. Say again, Matthews. You're on foot near a birthing lioness? Affirmative. Maintaining a safe distance. The pride is exhibiting unprecedented behavior. The male is aware of my position but is non-aggressive. Documenting everything. Over. Another pause. Daniel knew he was bending protocol, but this was a singular research opportunity. Proceed with extreme caution, McKenna finally said. Dr. Nisula wants live updates. Sending backup to your vehicle location. Do not approach closer. Over. Understood. Matthews out. Daniel returned the radio to his belt, his focus never leaving the scene. The first cub was now nursing weakly. The other lionesses kept their protective stance, glancing his way occasionally but showing no aggression. The sun climbed higher, washing the savanna in gold. Daniel shifted carefully to ease his cramping legs and froze as the male lion rose to his feet. The massive predator stared at him, then deliberately walked a few paces toward Daniel before settling again, marking a clear boundary. Message received, Daniel thought, staying behind that invisible line. For the next hour, Daniel documented the newborn's first moments with his telephoto lens. They were tiny, perhaps 3 pounds each, their spotted coats destined to fade to tawny. The mother would occasionally lift her head to check on Daniel before returning to her cubs. Then came the moment that would later be discussed in research papers worldwide. As the late morning heat intensified, the male stood and padded to a nearby acacia, positioning himself in its shade directly between Daniel and the pride. He looked back at Daniel and made a soft chuffing sound. Decades of experience hadn't prepared Daniel for this. It seemed almost like an invitation to share the shade. The alternative was to remain exposed to the dangerous sun, where dehydration and heatstroke were real risks. Moving with extreme caution, camera still rolling, Daniel inched toward the opposite side of the large tree. The male watched, but made no move as Daniel settled against the trunk. Now shaded, yet still at a respectful distance. This defies everything, Daniel whispered into his camera's microphone. The dominant male is tolerating my presence, perhaps even acknowledging my need for shade. The entire pride seems to have accepted me as a non-threat during this vulnerable time. As hours passed, Daniel observed the pride's subtle communications. The lionesses took turns approaching the new mother, touching noses in what looked like congratulation. The older cubs kept a curious distance, occasionally trying to approach before being gently warned off by the adults. Around noon, the distant rumble of a vehicle reached them. The lions grew instantly alert, muscles tense, ears forward. The male stood, placing himself between his family and the potential threat. Daniel snatched his radio. Matthews to approaching vehicle. Stop and maintain distance. Pride is alert and protective. I repeat, stop where you are. Nagula here. We're stopping 500 meters out. Are you safe, Daniel? Affirmative. But please stay back. Any approach might disrupt this unprecedented behavior. From his vantage, Daniel saw the research vehicle shimmering in the heat haze. The male lion remained standing, his attention fixed on it. The mother gathered her cubs closer, shielding them with her body. Dr. Amina Nalla, the lead researcher, came over the radio. We're observing through binoculars. This is extraordinary. Are both cubs alive? Yes. Male and female, I believe. Both nursing successfully. The pride has been protective, but... Daniel struggled to articulate it. It's almost as if they're protecting me, too. Keeping me in their sight rather than driving me off. Fascinating. Your camera feed is transmitting. Do you need extraction? Daniel considered. His water was low, but not critical. This strange truce might never happen again. Negative. I'll maintain observation as long as safety permits. The male has set clear boundaries. I believe attempting extraction now might provoke the defense we've miraculously avoided. As if understanding, the male lion returned to his shaded spot, watchful but relaxed. The lionesses gradually settled back around the mother. Understood, Matthews. We'll maintain position. Check in every 30 minutes. As the afternoon wore on, the savannah turned a deep gold. Daniel kept his post, documenting every interaction. His water was down to a few ounces, and the reality of his predicament set in. Despite the lion's extraordinary behavior, he was still on foot, resources dwindling, surrounded by apex predators. Matthews checking in. Both cubs nursing well. Mother is letting other females inspect the newborns. Male remains vigilant but calm. Estimating another hour before I need extraction. Water is running low. Copy that, Dr. Nala responded. We're coordinating with Head Ranger Kip Choi on an extraction plan that won't threaten the pride. Continue observation. The mother lioness was recovering. She sat up, grooming her cubs with meticulous care. The tiny creatures had grown more active, squirming and making soft mewling sounds that carried on the still air. Daniel's camera battery flashed red. He slowly reached for his backup. The male's eyes followed, but showed no aggression. I've been a ranger for 16 years, Daniel whispered into his microphone. I've seen lions hunt, fight, play. But never behavior like this. It contradicts everything we understand. Typically, a lioness hides her newborns from all threats for weeks. Yet this mother is not only allowing the pride near, she's tolerating my presence. As the sun began its descent, Daniel noticed a shift. The male stood, stretched his massive frame, and padded a few steps toward him. Daniel's heart rate spiked, his hand moving toward his spray. But the lion simply stared at him, then looked pointedly toward the distant research vehicle, then back at Daniel. I think he wants me to leave now, Daniel whispered into his radio. The light's changing. They may be preparing to move the cubs. I believe I'm being given permission to withdraw. Understood, Dr. Nala's voice came. Kipchoge is approaching on foot from the north, moving slowly. He'll escort you back. With methodical care, Daniel gathered his gear, maintaining eye contact with the male. In the distance, he saw the silhouette of Head Ranger Kipchoge. Preparing to retreat now, Daniel narrated quietly. Moving slowly, maintaining eye contact. He took one step back, then another. The lion watched but did not follow. The rest of the pride remained focused on the mother and cubs. Each backward step was an act of will, a fight not to hurry, not to trigger a chase instinct. 50 meters. 100. He continued his careful retreat until he met Kipchoge at the rendezvous point. You crazy man, Kipchoge whispered, his tone a mix of awe and disapproval. In 27 years, I never see lions allow a human so close to newborns. I know, Daniel said, his voice trembling as the adrenaline began to ebb. It was like they accepted me. The male is still watching us, Kipchoge observed. We go now. Slowly. The two rangers maintained a measured pace back toward the vehicle. Daniel glanced back frequently, struck by the image of the male lion, standing sentinel against the setting sun, watching them leave. When they finally reached the vehicle, Daniel's legs nearly buckled with relief. Dr. Nala handed him a canteen of water. Your footage is remarkable, Daniel, she said as they drove away. The birth itself is rare to document. But the pride's behavior, it challenges our understanding of lion-human dynamics. They could have killed me at any moment, Daniel said quietly, the full weight of the experience settling on him. But instead, they protected me. The male established boundaries, provided shade, watched over me. Why? Dr. Nala shook her head. Perhaps because you've observed this pride for weeks. They recognized your scent, your vehicle. Or perhaps. She hesitated. Perhaps there are aspects of lion behavior we've yet to understand. Animals can sometimes recognize when a human means no harm. The next morning, the team returned in their vehicles, keeping a proper distance. The pride had moved overnight, relocating the cubs half a kilometer from the birth site. Through binoculars, they saw both cubs nursing vigorously, healthy and strong. In the following weeks, the team observed what they dubbed the guardian pride. The mother and cubs thrived, integrated into the pride with remarkable success. Both cubs survived their critical first month, beating the typically high mortality rate. Daniel's footage became part of a groundbreaking paper, challenging long-held assumptions about predator-human interactions. Conservation groups worldwide circulated the images as powerful evidence of animal complexity, discernment, and the possibility of coexistence. 6 months later, Daniel sat in his Land Rover, watching the familiar pride. The cubs had grown into playful, healthy juveniles, their baby spots still faint. The male approached the vehicle, his magnificent mane catching the morning light. He stopped and stared directly at Daniel with that same steady gaze from that extraordinary day. "Hello, old friend," Daniel said softly. The lion held his gaze a long moment, then turned and rejoined his family. Daniel watched them disappear into the golden grass, carrying with them a wild mystery he would never fully understand, but would forever be grateful to have witnessed.